I didn't pay him to say that before I stood up. Thank you very much, Philip. I'm not going to take too much of your time either. Obviously, I'm sure you're all here to listen to the, as we've already heard, a wonderful set of papers that are planned for later today and over the duration of this conference. I'm very pleased indeed to see what a popular conference this has turned out to be. I think there's over 300 people attending over the few days, and I think it's from 18 countries or so. So it clearly has drawn an awful lot of interest, and that, of course, speaks to the quality of the programme and the sorts of things you're going to be discussing. My background prior to coming here, as you've heard, I started here in October. Prior to that, I was Chief Executive of one of the funding councils in the UK. It's called the Economic and Social Research Council. But we have 7 research councils in the UK, and I also had a role which was to take the international, they actually called it the international champion for the 7 research councils. I'm not sure I really like that term, but I had the responsibility to act on behalf of all of our funding agencies overseas, so I've spent a lot of time engaging internationally, admittedly mainly around funding issues, research funding issues, but of course it's brought me into contact with a lot of people interested in exactly the sorts of things that you're interested in. And I think before coming here in Leicester, you won't be surprised to hear that our internationalisation agenda is something I'm very committed to and very interested in getting involved in. I also, as it turned out, I was president of something called Science Europe, which represented funding agencies across the whole of Europe. And it's interesting, of course, that during that short time, I did that role for about 4 years, watching how English and the quality of English courses across Europe grew in that short period has been a real eye-opener. I was very close, again from a research funding point of view, but we spoke very much with rectors and others across Europe about how they were developing their strategies. And of course, you're all probably much more aware than I am of how those strategies are becoming much more internationalised in actually quite a short amount of time. I think the UK's been leading the pack, but there are many other countries that are catching up with us. So I just want to say a few quick words. First of all, higher education as a whole is a sector which has been undertaking really rapid change. I think one of the themes of the meeting here is around rapid change. Well, for me, higher education is one of those sectors in the UK and internationally which has seen the most change over the last few years. Certainly in the UK with fees and all sorts of things being introduced, and who knows what will happen after the next election, it's really a very interesting time to try and manage an organisation when those sort of fundamentals might change. Now, a major part of that is the whole internationalisation agenda, and how many universities, including Leicester, in fact Leicester can hold its head high, I think, in this. We're very proud that we have a particularly high proportion of our students here on campus from overseas. Of course, that's a wonderful thing for us. It turns our campus into a totally different place. Many of you, if you're from the UK, will know that Leicester is the most multicultural city in the UK, and we have one of the most multicultural campuses in the UK, and we're extremely proud of that. We get huge value from that. Not only the students who come from overseas, I hope, get great value from the quality of training we provide, but our students who come from the UK get massive value from interacting with people from all over the world. So inevitably, this is a challenging issue for us, because having had such a high proportion of students from overseas, we become quite reliant on having those students here. They do, of course, pay fees. It does mean that it's a major part of our business, but it's also a part of the business that we think is something we can expand as time goes on, and something that we're keen to do for a whole set of reasons, certainly not driven by income, but by about the way that we can engage overseas and bring the value and the power of our education to people all over the world. You'll know, of course, that within the UK, the UK as a whole, the higher education sector in the whole world is probably the second biggest sector in the whole world. I think healthcare is probably ahead of it. And between 2012 and 2017, it's predicted that will grow by about 7%. And within that, the training of English is expected to be a really huge part of that growth. So clearly, the sorts of things that you do and that we do here at Leicester are going to be really important as we see those sectors gaining in importance. Certainly in the UK, overseas students amounts to effectively the 5th biggest export trade that we have. So it's a massive part of the economy here in the UK, and something we have to be very proud of, and something we've got to make sure we get right. So as I said already, the way we view it at Leicester is not simply about how many students can we capture to help the budget, but it's about what our role is globally in changing the way society works. It's about how we can engage with people overseas, And we've taken a very clear strategy in our international portfolio of trying to develop very deep but lasting relationships with certain parts of the world. I've just come back from Indonesia, where we've developed a really strong relationship with a small number of universities who are sending good numbers of students based on that really deep, trusting relationship that we have. I'm off to Kurdistan in the next few days, and again, we've built up really deep relationships with a number of universities. And that, I think, is one of the ways that I'm really very proud that Leicester's developed this sort of trusting relationship in a way that not all universities have always done, I think. Of course, there's a whole set of other challenges. You'll know in the UK that visa issues and the way that the government reacts to overseas students has been something of a challenge to us recently. I'm sure it's been welcomed in many other countries, actually, the way that the UK has been giving out the impression that it wants to engage. You'll know that the provision of English training is growing extremely rapidly, probably some as high a quality as we have here, and much of it, I suspect, not quite as high a quality as we have here. I've already mentioned the unpredictable nature of overseas students, and it does vary a lot. We've seen a real collapse in students from India, of course, and most universities have seen that. So it is something that can be a little bit volatile. And I think also we've got to think carefully about some of the other challenges, realising that our engagement with students is not simply about training them in English. For many of those students, it's about us having a relationship before the time they arrive here, through English training, through their degrees, and then beyond, outside of the degree, as we engage with them beyond their studies. And I think it's, again, universities are coming around to that view and starting to understand now that we really need to build these long-term relationships with individuals and not just simply see them as students who pass through training in very short periods of time. As I've already said, we're proud of our relationship here. I should say as well, we're extremely proud of the work that ELTU has been doing. Philip and his team have transformed the nature of English training and other activities associated with that in this university over a relatively short time. So we're really pleased with that development. It's something you've already heard Philip say that I'm supportive of, and I want to be public about that because I think they have done a really fantastic job and deserve an awful lot of credit. We all know within universities that training of English is only one part, and we have to build trust between the academic departments who receive the students from this English language training. And I think we're starting to see real signs that this unit has done a great job at the University of Leicester in that side of things. So I'm not going to say any more other than to welcome you here to Leicester. I hope you have a fantastic time in the city. If you do get a chance, go and have a look around. It's a great city. There's lots to do and see. And as I've already said, it's an extremely multicultural place. So do, if you have the chance, go and visit some of the temples and various other religious sites that we have in this city. Enjoy the university, make the most of the facilities that we have here, and we obviously hope to see you here again when ELTU takes it upon themselves to organise this conference once more. So thank you very much indeed for coming.